It was early on in this movie when I asked myself, how many times now have I heard that same metal door opening? Stock sound effects. Last Breath stars Woody Harrelson, Simu Liu, and Finn Cole, and is based on true events from 2012 when a crew of saturation divers were working on an undersea pipeline. During a huge storm, a diver by the name of Chris Lemons got trapped on the ocean floor running out of oxygen, and his crewmates fought tooth and nail to find him and save his life. Director Alex Parkinson, previously in 2019, did a Netflix documentary on the exact same subject under the same title. I'm not sure what made him want to do a full-on reenactment after that, but when seeing it, I did get the sense that this may have been best off as just a documentary. That's not to downplay how well made the movie is. The underwater photography is impressive. Not much seems to be known about the production, but we do know that they filmed in Malta, which is home to some really big water simulation tanks that were used in the production of Jurassic World Rebirth, and my presumption is that they were used here too. There are a couple of times where it goes almost pitch black underwater, and for those brief moments, it does make you feel as lonesome and vulnerable as Chris is. We of course don't stay there because most of the time he's unconscious from lack of oxygen, but it's those scenes when the movie is at its strongest. And despite the recognizable metal door sound I mentioned, the rest of the sound design is a real sensation, particularly in those underwater sequences. In one suspenseful moment, a cage is dragging on an underwater structure, and in the best possible way, it is nails to a chalkboard. The score is pretty good too. It's composed by Paul Leonard Morgan, whose previous works I'm unfamiliar with. The music toward the beginning when Chris is on his way to work was a good, exhilarating piece that kind of made me feel like I was starting off on an adventure. So my next thought was, alright, who do I get to spend this adventure with? And this takes us to the reason why this feels better as a documentary. It doesn't go very deep below the surface, so to speak. The purpose of a documentary is to simply be informative. It intrigues you with all the details of the event. A feature-length movie has more of a challenge. It needs to be immersive. And while there are sections of this movie that are immersive, it also has to do this by getting you invested in the people who are involved. Outside of the rescue mission in Last Breath, we spend another 40 minutes with these people. In that time, we learn that Chris has a girlfriend waiting on him, and Duncan Alcock, the man whom Woody Harrelson portrays, is planning on retirement after this mission. And that's roughly the extent of what we learn about this crew of divers. I know there's only so much you can do when reenacting a true story, but if there really is that little to the real-life individuals, at least at that point in their lives, then a documentary is the most practical way to tell the story. A disadvantage to being a movie as well is that, on at least one occasion, it has to resort to some trite cliches. Even if you go in not knowing how the real story played out, near the end, the movie has pretty much assured us what the outcome will be, and yet proceeds to spend a solid minute or two acting as if we don't know how this is going to turn out. And I was just thinking, why are we wasting our time on this? The tension has ended now. So, Last Breath is a straightforward, excellently rendered thriller that has very little that would ever make me care to watch it again. It's much like The Perfect Storm in that it's great at depicting the real-life disaster itself, but the people it's dealing with just don't have much cinematic value to them. Still, the filmmaking alone is enough for me to give the movie a recommendation with a shrug. Scoring on the Factor Facts, Last Breath comes up with a 61%. That's a wrap. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this review helpful. Like and share, subscribe for more. This is Pop Culture. I'm Alex Pop.